So what we have here is a math expression that we have to simplify using the order of operations. The first thing you are supposed to do is whatever is inside parentheses, but we have no parentheses. After parentheses, we do any exponents, but we have no exponents. So after parentheses and exponents, you are supposed to do any multiplication or division in the problem in appearance from left to right, which means sometimes you're going to divide before you multiply, and sometimes you're going to multiply before you divide. It depends on which of the two shows up first in your expression from left to right. So if I start at the beginning of my expression and move from left to right, we see a division sign right away. So I have to figure out what 4.5 divided by 3 is. So I'm going to go and figure out what that is by dividing 4.5 by 3. Now, we have a decimal in 4.5, but we don't have a decimal in our divisor out here. So when you have a decimal on the inside number, just move that straight up. Next, we divide 3 into 4, which fits in only one time. One group of 3 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. We bring down the 5, which gives us 15. And then we divide 3 into 15, which is 5. So 4.5 divided by 3 is 1.5. So we have to write that right underneath this part of our expression. Next, we bring down all of the parts of the expression we did not do in the previous step. So I'm going to bring down the multiplication symbol, the 5, the subtraction sign, 3.2, another multiplication sign, 0 and 2/10 we have to bring down, and at the end we have to add on to that 1 and 14/100ths. All right, next we have to go to the beginning of our expression and do any multiplication or division in appearance from left to right. So as we swipe from left to right, we see a multiplication sign immediately. So we have to multiply 1.5 times 5. Now, 1.5 times 5 I can do mentally. That would be 7.5. But if you could not do that mentally, you would just go on the side with some scratch paper and multiply 1.5 times 5 to figure out what that is. 5 times 5 is 25. We carry the 2. We multiply 5 times 1, which is 5, plus 2 is 7. And because we only have one place value after the decimal, the same should hold true in our answer. So we must put our decimal point right here. So you can see that 1.5 times 5 is 7.5. Now we have to bring down all of the numbers and symbols that we did not use on the previous step. So let's bring down everything and figure out what the next step is going to be. So next we have to see if we have any division or multiplication signs left, and we have one right here. So we have to figure out what 3.2 times 0.2 is. So if we multiply this 2 by this 2, that is 4, and this 2 by this 3 is 6. Now, if you take a look at this decimal, we have one place value after it and one place value after this decimal for a total of 2 place values. So we go to the end of our answer and we must skip over the last 2 place values to figure out where our decimal goes. So the product of 3.2 and 0.2 is 0.64. So we have to write that right here underneath this part of the expression. Next, we have to bring down the parts of the expression that we did not use yet. So I'm going to bring down the 7.5 and the minus sign, and I'm going to bring down the addition sign and the 1.14. When all you have remaining are addition and subtraction signs, you must solve in order from left to right. Some individuals think that you add before you subtract, but that is not the case. You do whatever appears first from left to right. So we have to start with 7.5 minus 0.64. So let's write 7.5 right here. But for 0.64, I'm going to write a decimal right under this decimal because when you subtract with decimals, they must be lined up. So the 0 goes here, and the 64 goes here. And let me write a subtraction sign here. And if you have any blank spaces, you can just fill those with zeros. Now we cannot take 4 away from nothing, so this 0 must turn into a 10, by borrowing one whole from the 5, which is now a 4. And we cannot take 6 away from 4, so we have to turn that into a 14 by taking 1 away from the 7, which is now a 6. And when we subtract decimals, we drop the decimals straight down, and then we subtract. 10 take away 4 is 6, 14 take away 6 is 8, and 6 take away nothing is 6. So now we have one more step. We are going to take 6.86 and add that to 1.14. So we are going to take 6.86 and we are going to add that to 1 1400ths. And we drop the decimal point straight down. This column of numbers is a sum of 10, so we put a 0 here and carry the 1. This column is also 10, so we write a 0 and we carry the 1. And this column here is a total of 8. So this expression here is equal to 8.00, which is the same thing as 8.